Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're immersing ourselves in some really practical investment wisdom. It comes from a Chinese perspective titled Investment Common Sense and Market Self-Cultivation. Hmm. If you've been around finance at all, you hit this paradox. The biggest truths often sound like, well, the source calls it correct nonsense.
Correct nonsense, yeah. Like buy low, sell high.
Exactly. It sounds so basic, you just nod and think, yeah, yeah, obvious, and then go look for something complicated.
Uh,
But the real difference, the source argues, between average and successful investors isn't finding some secret sauce. It's actually seeing the deep correctness in that so-called nonsense.
and really internalizing it, right? Not just dismissing it.
That's our mission today, really. How do we take this basic-sounding philosophy and turn it into something actionable?
Well, it's interesting. The sources kind of anticipate this dismissal. They even quote Charlie Munger defining true common sense as what ordinary people don't have.
Ah, right. If everyone really got it and did it.
It wouldn't just be common sense. It'd just be how things are, and everyone would be wealthy from it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we're not just going to, list things. We want to unpack the why behind them. We'll look at the foundations, the discipline you need to execute, and that crucial self-cultivation part, how to stick with it when things get rocky.
Okay, let's jump right in then. Foundations first. Starting with something called the impossible triangle of investing.
Mm-hmm.
So this triangle posits three goals, often pulling against each other. Extreme high return.
The shiny object.
Right. Then extreme low risk. And finally, extreme high sustainability, being able to keep doing it.
Okay.
And the source warns, look, most people, they chase only that first one, the highest possible return. They pretty much ignore the other two.
And that's, well, it's mathematically fatal over the long run, isn't it?
How so?
Think about it. Chasing those super high quick returns usually means taking on massive risk. And if that risk blows up, say you lose 50%,
Yeah, that hurts.
it more than hurts. You
Right.
need 100% gain just to get back to even. That's brutal for compounding.
Ah, I see.
So the real insight here, the source says, is that true, long-term compounding, the real engine of wealth, it actually relies on the other 2 points as a foundation. Low risk plus high sustainability.
So prioritize not blowing up.
Exactly. Avoid the big hits, do that, and you dramatically increase your odds of long-term success, even if your yearly numbers aren't, setting the world on fire. Get the base right, and compounding takes care of the rest.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's pivot then. What about this idea of the trend? Shun sheer way following the trend. The source claims everyone is a trend investor, whether they know it or not.
That's a bold claim.
It is, and they lay out this hierarchy. At the very top, the biggest trend is the era, like the huge geopolitical technological shifts.
Okay, the macro.
Right. Then comes the economic cycle. And finally, the most specific is the company life cycle itself.
And the sweet spot is,
Yeah.
what, when they all line up?
That's where the greatest opportunities are supposed to lie. Yeah. When the era is positive, the economy's helping, and the company's in a growth phase.
Makes it.
But the philosophical point they stress is crucial. No great enterprises, only great eras.
Wow. So the context is almost everything.
It seems so. The era is the biggest wave. Prosper by following it, perish by defying it, as the source puts it. Your strategy has to make sure your chosen company is, like, sailing in the main current of the times.
Okay, follow the big trend.
But wait, here's where it gets tricky, right? Because this seems to contradict another piece of classic advice. The need for contrarian investing. Aren't those opposites? Follow the trend, but go against the crowd.
Yes. This trips a lot of people up. But the force clarifies it's about different levels of decision-making.
Okay.
Following the trend, that's long-term strategy. You don't bet against the fundamental direction of history or technology, the big era stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You have to ride that wave.
Right.
Contrarian thinking, that's tactics. It's about when and how you get onto that big wave.
Okay, so timing your entry.
Exactly. You use contrarian thinking to avoid buying when things are overheated, when everyone else is piling in. You look for moments when good assets tied to that big trend are undervalued because of, say, short-term panic or neglect.
Better odds.
Better odds to participate in a future that you believe has high certainty anyway.
So the mantra becomes, follow the big trend, reverse the market, embrace the macro, push back against the short-term sentiment.
Precisely. And this leads to a warning about relying too much on who else is buying, like institutional validation.
Oh, the smart money argument.
Yeah, the source says your focus has to be on the company's intrinsic value and its underlying logic, not just, oh, this big fund bought it. Because if the price is high and that core logic is actually flawed.
Then the institutions become the risk.
They become the empty force, as the source puts it. They're the ones who will rush for the exits and crash the stock when momentum shifts. That validation feels good, but it's temporary. Value is what lasts.
Okay, that's a powerful distinction. Let's move from strategy to, well, actually doing it. Execution. The sources talk about needing two things: clever methods, a good system, and stupid effort, which is diligence, reading, grinding it out.
And guess which one gets the emphasis?
Let me guess. The stupid effort.
Bingo. The source throws out a statistic, maybe illustrative, but powerful. 80% of people fail right there, at the stupid effort level.
Wow, 80%.
They just aren't willing to put in the, frankly, boring groundwork.
Yeah.
Reading reports, understanding the business model. They want to skip the homework and find the clever method.
That makes me think of that military analogy they used. Build a solid fortress, fight a dull war.
Exactly. Winning often requires being a bit stupid, meaning meticulous and persistent in execution, not flashy. And this applies directly to compounding.
How so?
Well, compounding looks like simple math, right? But the source frames it as personal discipline with 3 rules. 1, you can't rush it.
Patience.
2, you can't lose big, we talked about that, avoiding drawdowns.
Right, the foundation.
And 3, you can't stop. You can't interrupt the process.
So persistence.
Yeah.
The first and third points, patience and persistence. They sound like temperament, not math.
Totally. It comes down to your ability to just sit still. The source calls it, humorously, the power of the backside.
Chuckles. Okay.
It's just stubborn patience. The market rewards those who can handle the boredom, handle the ups and downs, without freaking out or chasing the next hot thing. Rush it, and you kill your margin of safety, you kill the geometric growth.
Okay, so waiting is key. And the source frames waiting in an interesting way,
Right.
connecting analysis and the actual transaction.
Yeah, it's the bridge between knowing what to do and actually doing it. And honestly,
Yeah.
it's often the hardest part,
Why is it so hard?
because that's where the psychology comes in. You've done the analysis, you think you understand the business, the probabilities.
Yeah.
You have a transaction plan, you know the odds, the potential payoff,
Yeah.
but then you have to wait.
Wait for the right price.
Wait for the right price to buy, yes. And then, often, you have to wait again for the market to eventually recognize the value you saw. That waiting period tests everything.
Which ties into that advice from Luke Key you mentioned. Learn more, think more, and wait more.
Exactly. And the source's stress, waiting, isn't just passive. It applies to holding cash when nothing meets your criteria.
Resisting the urge to just do something.
Right. And it applied to holding on to good stocks, not selling a quality company just because the price wiggled or you got bored.
Okay, let's talk traps then. What should investors really be afraid of? The source says it's not primarily that a stock seems expensive.
No, the first real fear should be, is the value even measurable? Is this business too complex, too opaque? Is it simply outside my circle of competence? If you can't reasonably value it, the price doesn't matter.
Avoid things you don't understand. Makes sense. What's the second big fear?
The cheap trap.
Ah, the value trap.
Yeah. A stock looks cheap on paper, maybe a low PE or something.
Mm.
But it's often cheap for a very good, possibly permanent reason. The business is broken, the industry's dying.
And buying it blindly.
You end up being the lamb slaughtered, not the savvy investor. The source argues an expensive but understandable high-quality company is often a simpler problem to solve than a cheap, broken one.
This connects to correcting the goal, doesn't it? Most people hope the stock will rise upon entry, go up right after they buy.
Yeah, instant gratification.
But the source says the highest state is win upon entry.
Subtle difference in words, huge difference in mindset.
Explain that.
Win upon entry means you did the work before buying. You establish a solid margin of safety based on your valuation. You calculated the odds. You win at the moment of purchase because you bought right, regardless of what the price does tomorrow. You control your actions.
You've tilted the probabilities in your favor from the start.
Exactly. And the best way to do that, the source suggests, is finding that combination of solid company performance and an ultra-low market price. That's where the biggest excess returns often come from.
What about market euphoria, riding the wave?
That's the third source of returns, sure. But the source says it has the shortest shelf life. It's unreliable. The long-term strategy focuses on company quality and low price. Treat euphoria like a bonus gift. If it happens, don't bank on it.
Got it. Okay, let's move into the mental game. Self-cultivation. The sources trace most investment problems back to mishandling two things: time and probability.
Yeah, this is fundamental. You absolutely must make time your friend. How? by sticking with high certainty, high probability situations.
And avoiding things that make time your enemy.
Exactly, like debt or leverage. Anything that can force you to sell at the worst possible moment, regardless of your analysis. If you introduce low probability bets or leverage, time starts working against you, compounding potential ruin.
Okay, so stay on the side of high probability. This brings up that ultimate rare opportunity the source talks about. The synergy of high probability and high payoff. Gaoge liu gao pei lu gongzhen.
The perfect storm, in a good way.
Where does this magical alignment supposedly happen?
Almost exclusively in deep bear markets, after huge crashes, when sentiment is absolutely in the toilet and everyone is terrified.
So precisely when it feels most dangerous.
That's the paradox, isn't it? The risk feels highest, but because valuations are crushed, the potential payoff is also highest, assuming you found a high probability survivor.
And the advice when this rare moment appears, you've done the work, the odds are great, is you have to pull the trigger, make that big decision.
You do. But here's a really practical bit I found fascinating.
What's that?
When you're facing that kind of high-stakes decision, the source emphatically says, stay away from online communities.
Really?
Because of the noise, the negativity. When fear is rampant, people look for validation, right? But online forums often become, as the source puts it, a trash can for everyone's panic and second guessing.
So instead of finding courage, you find doubt.
Exactly. You go looking for reasons to be brave, and you just get bombarded with reasons to retreat. It undermines the very decision you need to make independently.
Wow, that's stark advice. Okay, let's talk about the market's personality. The source says it actively destroys short-term experience.
Yeah, it has a cruel trick. It heats up slowly, lets you get comfortable, lets you think you've figured out the pattern.
And then, bam, changes the rules.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Which is exactly why you need a robust methodology, a system, something that works in the normal, often difficult market conditions, not just during the easy phases.
And that system has layers.
Right. An inner core, the DAO, the fundamental truth, value, margin of safety, compounding, and an outer circle, the shoe, the techniques and strategies you use to implement the core principles.
Give me a quick example of that Dao-Shu distinction in practice.
Okay. The Dao says, buy quality companies at good prices. The Shu might be the specific technique you use, like contrarian analysis, to figure out when the current market price offers that sufficient margin of safety to meet your value goal. The technique serves the principle.
Got it. Technique serves the truth. Okay, the source lists some specific, most dangerous actions. Things that, if you just avoid them, you supposedly beat 90% of investors.
Yeah, it's a powerful list through negation.
Let's run through them. High turnover.
Turning your account,
Buying at high valuations.
paying too much,
Buying fundamentally mediocre companies.
ignoring quality,
Using high leverage.
too much debt.
Buying or holding new shares like IPOs.
Ah, yes, be careful there.
And buying high price to book large caps. Why are new shares singled out like that?
Well, think about the incentives. Founders, VCs, early investors. Their goals when a company goes public might be very different from yours as a new buyer in the public market. They might be cashing out, selling at a hype.
Yeah.
You could be left holding the bag after the initial excitement fades.
Okay. Avoiding those pitfalls sounds like good hygiene. It brings us back to self-cultivation again. The source says the only truly constant factors are value and human nature.
And discovering value is technical, sure. But practicing value, actually sticking to it, that's where human nature bites you. It's an art because of external temptations and our own internal flaws.
So you need confidence.
You need real belief. Belief in your analysis of the company's value, yes. But also, on a bigger scale, maybe belief in the future of the country or the market you're investing in. The source suggests deep-seated pessimism prevents you from making the really big money. You'll just take small, clever profits.
But there's a flip side, a warning about too much belief, right? Especially regarding specific companies.
Absolutely critical point. Beware of companies with overly rosy forecasts or that have, quote, touchingly good investor relations.
Why touchingly good?
It often signals desperation, maybe ego, sometimes even fraud. You must never become an emotional, loyal believer in a stock or management team.
Maintain objectivity.
Always. Rely on public verifiable data, the facts, not on cozy relationships or smooth talk from executives. Your faith needs to be in the logic and the numbers, not the personality.
Okay, last big point. Defining market difficulty. This distinction seems crucial for survival. Bear market declines when your portfolio is shrinking. That's hard mode.
Painful,
Yeah.
stressful.
But the lows of the bear market, When panic is everywhere, everything's dirt cheap. The source calls that easy mode.
Which sounds completely counterintuitive to most people.
Right. So how do you survive the hard mode decline to actually benefit from the easy mode low? The source says it's not rah-rah motivation.
No. It's about rigorously checking two things internally. One,
Hmm.
am I doing the right thing according to my long-term rational strategy?
Right.
Two, did I make a high probability decision with superior odds when I bought this?
Right.
If the answers are yes and yes, then the market's day-to-day gyrations, while unpleasant, become, well, just noise, not a reason to abandon ship.
So the time that feels worst is often safest from a valuation perspective.
Exactly. Crisis is often safest. Euphoria is most dangerous. For a true value investor, the bear market should be easy mode potential bargains everywhere. But because most people anchor to market sentiment, they watch the crowd.
And when the crowd runs away, they run too, mistaking low prices for high danger.
Precisely.
That perfectly sums up this whole deep dive, I think. The money in the market is proud, as the source says. It tests you. Not just your knowledge, but your discipline, your temperament, your weaknesses, fear, greed, impatience.
It demands you pass those tests repeatedly before it accepts you as its master.
And it comes back to that duality. Discovering value is technical, learnable, practicing value, that's the art of handling your own human nature.
And accepting that the greatest returns often require that seemingly boring, stupid effort and that incredibly difficult, unflinching waiting.
So we'll leave you, the listener, with this thought to chew on. If high probability and high payoff truly align best in the depths of a panic-stricken bear market, what is it about us, about human nature, that makes us perceive the safest time, rock-bottom valuations, as the most dangerous, and the most dangerous time, peak euphoria, as the safest?
Something to definitely reflect on.
Until the next deep dive.